This is Deborah Atkinson, and you're listening to the Voice for Fitness Professionals podcast, where I share programming, marketing, and promotion strategies that are easy, enjoyable, even fun, so you can create a business and a life you love. You are passionate about fitness. You love it. You love what it's done for you. You like helping people, and you like teaching. But do you have a limiting belief about how much you can earn or how much you have to work in order to do it? Do you believe if you're going to make a living as a fitness professional that it would be all about selling? Do you change your voice and turn into somebody else when you have to ask for money? Today's guest is going to help unpack some of that baggage. Phil Kaplan is a 30-year veteran of the fitness field and a pioneer in the realm of personal training, the first Lifetime Achievement Award recipient from Personal Fitness Professional. He's appeared on over 1,000 TV and radio shows sharing the fitness truth. Through seminars, articles, appearances, and programs, Phil paved the way for personal trainers, setting a model for professional excellence and establishing oft-imitated paradigms for selling fitness in health club, corporate, and studio settings. With extensive experience as a health club owner, media personality, author, and international speaker, he's gained rare insights into the elements of mind, body, and spirit that integrate to manifest positive physical change, and has created programs with unprecedented levels of outcome and compliance, including Transform and The Answer. In 2012, Phil launched his Alive program as an exercise and eating intervention aimed at helping reverse chronic disease in the 21st century unwell population. And he has since paved the way for the space between fitness and medicine as a consumer advocate and a staunch proponent of healing through movement, nutrition, and environment. Through his newest Be Better and Transgenesis programs, he continues to educate medical and fitness professionals in the power health practitioners have to move our population away from dis-ease and the power personal trainers have to command the reward they deserve. All good stuff. Phil, thanks so much for being here today.
It is my pleasure.
And I want to dive right in. You have so many things, so many directions we could go. We clearly already, I know, need to have you back. So we could just conclude with that.
I guess I did well.
But you did so well. It's an amazing history and background. And I can remember as I'm reading your bio, sitting in conferences where you're promoting, and I kept thinking to myself, even then, and I don't know if that was 10, 15, 20 years ago, thinking nobody else is talking about this stuff, and nobody is talking about it with the gusto that you're talking about it. And I was just floored that everybody in that room, wasn't running out to tell 5 of their best personal trainer friends, you've got to be here, you've got to hear this. So that said, let's start right away with the trainers, the health coaches that may be listening who may have that belief that a lucrative career and loving a fitness career are not mutually exclusive. I mean, let's unpack that. Over the time you've been involved, what have you witnessed, and what's true today?
Well, let me say this. It's really interesting. I appreciate, I'm very flattered by everything you just said. And when I was speaking with that gusto and that passion, it's because I discovered things that nobody taught me. I had such a tremendous passion for fitness and for helping others get fit. My first client that I ever had, it wasn't even a personal training client. I had a part-time job as a fitness instructor. I was paid minimum wage to take people through machines. But the first person I really connected with and saw on a regular basis had MS. And over the course of 3 months, I saw such a change, not only in the way he looked, but in the way he carried himself. And people would walk by and give him high fives. And I think from that, I really got hooked on what this fitness thing can do to people's lives. I had this earlier idea that I was going to be a doctor, and I started in University of Buffalo in pre-med. And somehow the fitness bug was so strong that I changed course. And I said, I'm going to help people through fitness. I've been invited to speak at many conferences on the topic of making money. And as a result, people think I'm the money guy. They're like, oh, all he talks about is money. All he cares about is money. And I think it's important that people understand this. I was starving as a personal trainer. I literally had trouble asking people to pay me $15 a session. I would do free consultations. That was easy to ask for. The consultation was free. And then, like, my mouth would get all dry. My throat would close up because I'd have to ask, will you pay me $15 a session? And I can remember sitting on the beach. I live in Florida. And I was sitting on the beach really trying to make a decision. Can I continue in this career that I love? Because I really did love what I did. But I can't make money. How can I possibly pursue this if I can't afford dinner? And I'm not kidding. I used to go eat in the happy hour buffets because you could buy a beer for $1 and eat the meatballs, and they had ziti. So I remember trying to make that decision, and I just decided I have to figure out how to make money. There has to be a way. So through trial and error and falling on my face many times, I figured it out. So that's why it's interesting to me when I would speak at those events where people would say, all he cares about is money. And that's revealing to me about the personal trainer, the personal trainer avatar. It's almost as if there's something wrong with making money. It's a little bit of like the starving artist syndrome. We do what we do because we love it, but we don't want to sell out. Somehow making money is selling out. And what I learned long ago is if you don't make money for what you do, you can't eat. You can't pay bills. You can't put gas in your car. What a gift it is to get paid well for doing what you love. So I think the two should go hand in hand. They absolutely can go hand in hand. But unfortunately, the personal training industry today still does not allow personal trainers to see their potential to earn. There is a true ceiling on income because trainers look at what the market will bear. So I think you've got to be a little bit of a maverick. You've got to be willing to step out and claim what you deserve, and then absolutely you can love doing what you do for a living and get paid well.
I love that. And I'm going to come back to the use of that word maverick with you because I would challenge anybody listening to use the words you've used and the ones that are so true of trainers. I mean, I can't tell you how many times as an instructor in kinesiology and as someone who was hiring and training and unfortunately firing a lot of trainers, how many times I've heard the word, I'm so passionate about fitness. but yet you've got volume. You've got something there that tells me, shows me that you have passion. You don't have to speak the words. I can hear it. I can hear it in the energy. I can hear it in the way you deliver it. And I think that sometimes is missing from trainers who can say it.
What's interesting? I'm sorry to interrupt you. When I speak to groups of trainers, and one of the things that I talk about in a specific seminar is what makes you unique. Because we try to identify what is your unique value. How do you elevate above the rest of the industry? And always, somebody will raise their hand and say, I have a passion for fitness.
Yep.
I love helping people. Now, here's the ironic thing. Always somebody says that. So clearly it's not unique. That is true to all personal trainers. But it's interesting that they'll sit in a room and somehow think that's unique to them. That's what put them in this industry in the first place. But their uniqueness is something greater than that. And I think the passion really comes from finding your place, feeling like you're really on the right course in life. And that's what this was for me.
Yeah, so great. And I think it's, another a guru really right now. Can I use that word? Dean Graziosi. Am I slaughtering his last name? I heard him speak very recently, and he said something about, you believe so much in what you're doing, which I think is really, this is the passion behind personal training. If you believe so much in it that you believe you're doing the wrong thing, if you don't ask your customer to get their credit card out and get started. And I think there's a gap there for trainers. And the maverick, I think this is where, and the uniqueness is all coming back to how does a trainer find their voice? Because right now it's so easy to want to be liked by everybody and be popular and get more likes and shares and comments, and it goes hand in hand with social media. But to stand out, you have to be one of two things, or you have to be both. You have to be better, but it may even be better to be different. How do you do that? How does a trainer find their voice?
Well, there's a word that's very overused, results. And if you ask personal trainers, do you deliver results for your clients, of course, they'll all say yes. And if you pin them down and go, for all your clients, they're going to say yes. But if we really look at it, are you getting the results for your clients that the clients wanted? In most cases, the answer is no. And I'll tell you how I know this. Deborah, you've worked with people who have achieved significant weight loss in line with their goal, correct?
Correct.
So let's just say somebody says, I want to lose 15 pounds. And you say, great, I'm going to get you on a program. And 4 months later, they lost 17 pounds. Here's what they say. Oh, my God, this is unbelievable. Am I right? Now, why is it unbelievable? It's what they came for. If I go to a deli and I say, I want a turkey sandwich, and they give me a turkey sandwich, I'm not going to go, oh, my God, it's unbelievable. You gave me my turkey sandwich. If they came to lose 15 pounds and you delivered, why are they shocked? And the reason is because in the fitness and weight loss industry, failure is so common, it is accepted. So I think one of the things that will really separate a personal trainer, even today, is to truly deliver the result that you promised to. I think it takes a little bit more work because we have to go beyond the thought of what we do is prescribe safe and effective exercise. I think we really have to see each individual as truly an individual. We have to meet the client where the client is. We have to give them just enough of what they need without pushing them too far. And there's an art to that. So just because technically you understand movement and biomechanics and kinesiology, it doesn't mean you're able to deliver the result. So I think when the focus becomes the outcome, you stand above. Second to that, when you connect with a specific avatar, when you connect with a specific type of person, a demographic, women who just had their second child, people over the age of 65, former competitive athletes, it is much easier to become the preeminent expert within that demographic than it is to just be the personal trainer for everybody. So I think there has to be a lot of soul searching where you need to answer some questions. Who is your ideal client? And that's got to come out of partially your passion, partially their ability to pay, and then partially what you can really deliver for them. So if you do want to stand out, then I think you have to do that homework, and I don't think most personal trainers do.
Interesting. All right, so along that lines, you, and I quote, pretty sure, being contrarian, breaking rules, not being afraid to stand out and get uncomfortable. That in a trainer is quite often unusual.
Is unusual?
Timid. Yeah. How does a timid, maybe, if not intimidated trainer, new on the scene, begin to do that?
This is a hard question, and I'm going to tell you why. People believe me to be an extrovert, and perhaps today I am. When I was younger, I wouldn't say that about myself. I was pretty introverted and even shy. And at a certain point in building my personal training career and feeling the necessity to make money at this, I realized that if I don't talk to people about what I do for a living, I'm not getting clients, and if I'm not getting clients, I'm not getting paid. So I made a commitment to myself, for myself, that every single day before I go home, I will speak to 5 people about what I do. And I would literally take an index card with me, and I wouldn't go home until at the very least I wrote down 5 names. Then it became 5 names and phone numbers or 5 names and email addresses. But 5 a day was the greatest marketing secret and remains the greatest marketing secret. I see people investing, trying to find the perfect sales funnel and the perfect social media promotion. There is nothing better than going out there and talking to people. So if you are shy and introverted and this makes you uncomfortable, then I really think you need to sit down and question if this is what you should do for a living. And if the answer is yes, then you have to overcome it. And then may be kind of it might sound a little calloused, not understanding that people are not willing to do that. But here's the beauty of it. The reward makes you love it. At first, it was so uncomfortable. I'd be standing in a checkout line, and I'd see somebody, and she's reading like a magazine from the counter and said, lose weight, the great new diet. And I knew I had to talk to her, but I'd be sweating. And then finally I did. And you know what? Nobody ever slapped me in the face. Nobody ever cursed at me. The worst was they blew me off. The best was we got into a dialogue. And what I came to realize by doing that is I have something that people need. If somebody is not happy with their body, I have something that they need. So I am doing them, in line with what you said earlier, a disservice if I don't talk to them. So I believe, and I'm not just saying this because it's become cliche, but when we say mindset is everything because it is completely your mindset that will either give you the courage to approach or just cause you to curl up in the fetal position. So this is a part of the game. This is a part of improvement, is you got to get your thinking, you got to get your thoughts in line with the outcome you want. And if the outcome you want is to be a great trainer, then as I said, you've got to talk to people. And they're everywhere. People are everywhere. They're in the gas stations. They're in the restaurants. They're in the shopping mall. So I do think you have to find the courage. I don't know if that's what made me a maverick. I think what made me a maverick was I saw a lot of injustice. I saw things being done wrong. I worked in a health club industry where people were buying memberships and never showing up. I saw people signing up for programs where the person selling the program knew that person would fail. I saw people signing up for diets that were going to make them fatter. That's where a lot of this maverick idea came from, is I almost felt like, at first, there's a new sheriff in town and I'm going to clean this up. And I started doing a radio show and television. I became a consumer advocate. But then I realized it's too big. The pharmaceutical companies are too powerful. I'm not going to change the world that way. But I started to do it one person at a time. So I think when you really know what's right and you really know where you're going, you overcome those fears that hold you back. And that's really what that is. It's the fear to approach.
Love that. Very juicy. Okay. You do a lot of mindset work with your clients, with consumers. If you were to apply some of that mindset work for trainers who are out there who exactly were identifying with what you said at the beginning, like, this is so me. I love my job. I love my work. I love what I'm doing, but I can't afford rent or the car or the number of things that I really want to do, either for myself or my family. They get it. But how do they break out of the thought of, anything but abundance? I mean, they're the total opposite end of that continuum. I'm putting you on the spot here. Is there a mindset exercise that you could walk somebody through here?
I wish it were so simple I could really deliver it in minutes and people could go do it and their life would change. But I will tell you that years ago, I read a book called The Fifth Discipline by Peter Senge, and I'm not suggesting that you have to read that book, but in it was a term that stuck with me, creative tension. Creative tension is the gap between where you are and where you want to be. And in the book, it was used to describe Fortune 500 companies. The gap between where you are and where you want to be. And for some reason, that really resonated with me, and I started to envision where I am now and then the outcome that I want as sort of far away from me, and the two scenarios attached by a bungee cord. So there's where I am now, let's say in a circle or a sphere, and then there's all the way over there where I want to be, let's say in a cube, just to give it a physical, and a bungee cord is attached. If I don't believe that I can go there, there's tension in that bungee cord. But if I don't have the belief, the bungee cord snaps. Conversely, if I believe that I can get there, that bungee cord is momentum. So the line that runs between where you are and where you want to be is called creative tension. One of the greatest exercises, and if we have time, I'll share just intimately how this helped me, but one of the greatest exercises is you stand in, I call it your circle of discontent. You stand in your present moment. Now, this doesn't mean you're unhappy, you're miserable, but there are elements in your life that you're not thrilled with because you want change. So you literally close your eyes and stand there and feel the feelings of discontent. And you stay in that state until you really start to feel uncomfortable, and it's not a pleasant feeling. And I'm talking about maybe 3 minutes. And then you literally step out of the imaginary circle into another space. It's as if you are stepping along that creative tension line, and you step into your future. And what I call this is a future memory. And I know that sounds, how could it be a memory if it's future? Well, what's really interesting is memories are stored in the hippocampus. And if I ask somebody to describe any memory, they could answer questions about it. If I say, how was the weather that day? They could tell me. What shoes were you wearing? They could tell me. If you can create a belief so strong that you can see and hear and feel that kind of detail, your hippocampus literally stores it as a memory. And you suddenly have this belief that it is simply an outcome that hasn't happened yet. So the exercise is standing in your discontent, feeling it, and then stepping out of it into the future. And the contrast in emotion from feeling unhappy with where you are now to elated and ecstatic because you're creating this memory that is your future changes your neural wiring. It literally changes the way your brain operates. So that's an oversimplification of a pretty complex exercise. But it works. It's incredibly powerful.
Even that was incredibly powerful. So as soon as we're done, I'm going to go load up my hippocampus. But for now, you recently, and a little bird told me this, you had a group of trainers you're mentoring raise their rates by $4 a session. Share the reaction you got when you first instructed them to do that, and then what happened when they came back?
All my clients will leave me. That's the fear. All my clients will leave me. Now, we preface this by asking them a very important question. Are you being paid in line with your value? Most trainers will say no. So we then go to the question, well, why are you charging what you charge? And they have an answer to the effect of, that's what my clients are willing to pay. So right there is a limiting belief. If they believe that that's all their clients are willing to pay, how could they possibly ask for more, correct? Now, they never sat down with the client and said, how much are you willing to pay? They just created this false belief. So when I first asked them to raise their rates by $4, they panic. And they'll say, oh, well, you don't understand my clients. My clients are different. You don't understand. I live in a part of the country where people don't like to pay that. They'll all find excuses. But then, and there is a prerequisite, they have to be a good trainer. If they're not a good trainer, this won't work. But if they can find the courage to say to the client, every client, as soon as they show up, hey, by the way, I just have to tell you I'm raising my rates by $4, every client will say, okay. It's not even a dialogue beyond that. Because if they're charging $75 a session and they go to $79, it's almost like a little hiccup. They don't even notice. It's $4. But what that does is bring about a mindset shift, that suddenly the trainer realizes, wow, I wasn't limited by what I was asking for. It was a false belief. And that's what holds most trainers back. They're stuck with these terms such as what the market will bear. They look at what other trainers charge and they think that's what they should charge. I think learning to look at the industry and ask the question, how could I do things better, has been a really valuable gift for me. I will also say, without intending to offend anybody, I believe the personal training field is mired in mediocrity. I think there's such a low barrier of entry. There are many personal trainers who we would not consider professionals. So the field itself is accepting of a level of mediocrity. I see that as opportune, because if you're willing to just step up and rise above, the doors are wide open. But if you're going to do that, you can't look at the way things are and think that's how they should be for you.
So rich. I love that. All right. Now, this is 2019. You started a while ago. But now looking at, and I know the model, and we won't unpack necessarily medical fitness and that gap and filling it today, but I think we probably should in the future. But scale or fail is a very common term, commonly spoken mantra these days for trainers, and the truth is they will run out of hours. Even if they continue to raise their rates by $4 an hour, at some point there may be some kind of a ceiling, and or you're full. If you want to have a life outside of work, what recommendations beyond, training one-on-one and even training partners and training groups might there be that trainers tend to overlook or not explore outside the box?
I think the ideal is to build something saleable, whether you ever want to sell it or not. And a part of the thinking that has to take place in order to be able to do that is you are not your business. Most personal trainers are their business. They go to dinner with friends. The friends are asking them, what could I do to lose weight? How do I get rid of this? Everywhere they go, they are the business. When they get paid, they get paid. When they put money in the bank, it's their money in their bank account. So they and the business are one and the same. When you start to create a difference between who you are and what you do, you start to think of your business as the source of your prosperity. Now, this gives you a power. If your business is the source of your prosperity, you could build something that is separate from you, and it literally feeds you. So if somebody were going to open a store, a retail store, the hope is they're going to create this store, and someday they'll sell the store or retire because it's making enough money. It's the mindset of being the business that limits personal trainers. So there are so many ways that you can grow beyond the number of hours in a day, especially, with the ability now to create webinars and courses. I did it years ago when it was very expensive to create a course and you had to mail it to people and it had, audio cassettes. That's how long ago it was, or CDs and DVDs. But now it's really simple to be able to create other revenue streams. There are some direct marketing products that are very, very good, and I think personal trainers reject them because they don't want to sell. But there are lots of opportunities to grow beyond the hours that you work in a day. And, of course, ultimately, when you build enough of a business, you can bring on others who work for you, and you are a premium. In other words, let's just say, I'm picking random numbers, you charge $100 a session, and you have 2 trainers who work for you. You're $100 a session, they're $75. So here's the beauty of it. You are paid a premium because you have built the business and built this reputation, but now you can have the company, the business, making money even when you're not working. And I can give you hundreds of different examples of how you can do this, but I think every personal trainer needs to start by being a trainer and having the life experience, but still earning enough money so that they can live the kind of life they want to live. But you're not limited to the number of hours in a day. You just have to learn to think that your business is not you. Your business is the source of your prosperity.
Great concept. Really great concept. All right, I've got 2 questions. Number 1, everybody listening I know wants more Phil. Where's the best place for them to go and find you?
I'm going to actually say right now it's the MedFit Network. I've really connected with this group as I know you have. And I recently created a course, and I look forward to bringing a lot of other things through the MedFit Network, so they can find me on Facebook, they can search on the Internet. But really, that's where I'm most excited about driving people right now, because today my true passion is to help reverse chronic disease. And it's what I do every single day, and I work with physicians. So this is a space that is new to personal trainers, but it is absolutely the greatest opportunity I have ever seen within our industry. So I would say anything put out by MedFit Network is where you want to go, and chances are you'll find me there.
Fantastic. And maybe the second question, I may have led you right to it, but is there a question I should have asked you today that I missed?
Well, there are many. But
clearly you have to come back.
I don't know the question, but I'll give you the answer to it, because earlier I alluded to, maybe I'll tell you about this later. Mm-hmm. But this was an interesting turn in my life. In 2005, Hurricane Wilma destroyed my office, literally blew the roof off of my office. I came in the next day, there was no roof. My building was flooded. I had 4,500 square feet, a warehouse space, a personal training studio. The whole thing was underwater. And I spent months in that building paying contractors to rip out the drywall and the carpet, and then eventually we put everything in there brand new. And about 6 months later, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's. I don't have Parkinson's. It was a misdiagnosis. When they cleaned up the rotting office, they never changed the air ducts. And I got sick from mold toxicity. Now, I went to a major institution for tests where they told me, Phil, you have Parkinson's. They didn't say we think or we suspect. They told me. As a matter of fact, the doctor, who was the head of neurology, was looking right at me, and I guess he saw my reaction, and he said, oh, don't worry. There are medications. You could have a good quality of life for many years. Now, I'm sharing that with you because, thankfully, the following day, I woke up and I said, either I have Parkinson's and I'm going to connect with Michael J. Fox and do everything I can to raise money and awareness, or maybe I don't, just maybe. And I don't know where the thought came from, but I thank God for it every day. And I kept looking, and finally I found a doctor, Dr. Richie Shoemaker in Pocomoke City, Maryland, who diagnosed me correctly, and within 10 days, every symptom was gone. I was fine. So that experience is what led me to this realm of medical fitness, because for the first time in my life, I felt what it feels like to be a patient. I felt what it feels like to be on the other side of the doctor's desk, where they put a label on you. And I started to wonder how many people were told they have Parkinson's or lupus or MS. Maybe they don't. And then taking it further, how many people are told they are depressed, they are hypothyroid, they are diabetic, as if it is a label they must wear for the rest of their lives. So that's what led me here. But here's where I'm going with this. As a side effect of the mold toxicity, I developed a debilitating condition called multiple chemical sensitivity. It is the inability to be around anything synthetic, anything chemical, paint, cleaning supplies, perfumes, fragrances. And I went around the country to doctor after doctor after doctor, and it's hard to describe how debilitating this is. But the way that I resolved it in myself was with mindset, was with that creative tension exercise. I literally would get out of bed every day, stand in my circle of discontent, and switch off the reaction. So that's a short version of a long story, but when I tell you that this creative tension thing is important, when I tell you that mindset is important, I guess I have to believe at some level all of these experiences led me here. So it goes beyond passion right now. It really feels like a mission. And I feel like I'm kind of leading a charge or pioneering a small army right now to step into this realm where mindset and exercise and nutrition become curative. And I've heard many people say exercise is medicine. You know some organizations who use that term. But I've really never seen it used to get people well from chronic disease. And that's what I'm doing right now in my career, and that's where the greatest opportunity is. So if anybody wants to truly be a maverick and step into a new space, man, here is where the opportunity is.
Fantastic. Phil, thanks so much for your time and for being here.
I enjoyed it.
Fitness pros, if you have a question that I didn't ask, leave it below the show link at fitnessmarketingmastery.com/Phil. And I would appreciate it if you leave us a rating in iTunes. It really helps. Check out the blog and other podcast episodes at fitnessmarketingmastery.com.